Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. I'm a bit of a sweaty mess here because my cat got fleas, probably from our back porch, and I have been doing a deep cleaning this weekend and I'm still not done. So I'm going to do this video and another video, set them up to upload, and then back to it. Anywho, I did want to take a minute before we talk books to... This has been a wild week, and it's affected my reading because there's so much going on in the world. Let's start with Monday. In Jerusalem, 6 people were killed by Palestinian gunmen. On Tuesday, Israel targeted Hamas leaders in Doha, Qatar, and jury's out on if they actually killed those leaders. They killed some people, but Hamas says the leaders weren't killed. Also, Tuesday and maybe into Wednesday, Russian drones violated Polish airspace. I can't remember everything that the Polish president or whatever he is said about it, but he said he said this is the closest they've been to war since World War II or something like that. On Wednesday, the 10th of September, Charlie Kirk was assassinated by an individual who's since been detained at a school event that he was hosting. And then this morning, Romania says that a Russian drone entered its airspace. So the world is wild right now, and as a result, also I think I've not been picking very good books, with one exception. So let's get to the books now. I just thought I'd document that because all these things have been happening this year and last year and probably every year. And I don't write them down and I don't talk about them. And I've been reading, I was going to talk about it later, a Peirce book called Berlin Diary by William Shirer. And this takes place, I'll still talk about it later. This is his diary from 1934 to 1941 in Germany, primarily Germany. He was acting as a CBS correspondent, and it's been so interesting reading him write down the events that are happening. And anywho, I want to start documenting what's happening in our world myself. But back to the books. So I started the week with a kind of so-so book. This has not been the greatest week. And I think by the time the end of the week got here, I enjoyed that book because I needed something to enjoy. So I started it with The River Knows Your Name by Kelly Mastian. I find my glasses. This is what it's about. For nearly 30 years, Nell has kept a childhood promise to never reveal what she and Evie found tucked inside a copy of Jane Eyre in their mother's bookcase. A record of Evie's birth naming a stranger as her mother. But lately, Nell has been haunted by hazy memories of their early life in Mississippi. Years their reclusive mother, Hazel, has kept shrouded in secrecy. Evie recalls nothing before their house on Clay Mountain in North Carolina, but Nell remembers abrupt moves, odd accommodations, and the rainy night a man in a dark coat and a hat pulled low climbed the porch steps with a very little girl, Evie, and then left without her. In dual storylines, Nell, 42 in 1971, reaches into the past to uncover dangerous, long-buried secrets, and Becca, a young mother in the early 30s, presses ahead, each moving toward 1934, the catastrophic year that would forever link them. So there's another paragraph, but I'm not feeling it. I think this is a book that's meant to tug at your heartstrings, and my heartstrings were not interested in being tugged at. This was just fine. It was fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm sure that some people would read it and love it and find it a tearjerker. It just didn't hit for me. And I think it was because Evie herself didn't care about finding out who her mother was. She had her mother, the woman who raised her. So again, for me, it was just a miss. I gave it 3 stars. It's fine. But it just, I think other people would like it better than I. Next, I went with another fine book that really just did not move me at all. And that, again, 3 stars. It was fine. The Butcher of the Forest by Premi Muhammad. It was just fine. And it should have been everything I ever wanted, except it wasn't. At the northern edge of a land governed by a merciless foreign tyrant lies a wild, forbidden forest ruled by powerful magic. Right up my alley. Varys Thorn, the only one ever to enter the forest and survive, is forced to go back inside to retrieve the tyrant's missing children. Within its depths await traps and trickery, ancient monsters and hauntings of the past. One day is all Varys is afforded. One misstep will cost everything. Again, it could be that so much was going on in the world that I just really couldn't pay attention and it didn't hit me the way I wanted it to, because it had all the elements of something that I would love, that I should love. It just wasn't there for me, and that makes me sad. There's a reveal at the end. Should have worked. I didn't care. Anyway, so next, I think I picked this up on Tuesday. I know I picked it up on Tuesday, and I think I started on Wednesday, but I have decided. So I got a chapter in on American Kings, a biography of the quarterback by Seth Wickersham. And look, this is a really good book, but the chapters are very long. When I say a chapter, I mean like 100 pages. So they're very long, but they're broken up, and they kind of bounce in between characters. And for me, because I didn't grow up religiously watching football, I have to stop every time he introduces a new character to go look him up. Like Warren Moon, I did not know who he was, but I talked to a friend who grew up watching football, and he immediately knew exactly who that was. So I keep having to stop and Google, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to DNF this. However, I am going to move it to audiobook then, and I'll start up with this once I finish my current audiobook, Antony Beevor's Ardennes 1944, The Battle of the Bulge. I've probably got about 6 hours left on this, so it'll take a couple weeks before I get back to this. But this is not a DNF. The book is very good. I just know if I'm listening to it while driving, I will not pick up my phone and try to Google Warren Moon. Mostly because I already Googled him. But again, I have learned some fascinating stats about people and things that I did not know about quarterbacks, specific quarterbacks. But again, it's just taken me too long to read, and I needed to finish out the week with something. So last night, I picked up Witch of Wild Things, which is our book club selection for this month. And I knew I needed to get to it. I didn't want to get to it too soon in the month, but this is just right. It's a week before book club. Witch of Wild Things by Raquel Vasquez Gillian. I really enjoyed this. It could be that it just hit right, that after struggling with American Kings, not because it's bad, but because it's nonfiction and it's a slower read, I needed something that was quick, and I started it and finished it yesterday. Sage Flores has been running from her family and their gifts ever since her younger sister Sky died. 8 years later, Sage reluctantly returns to her hometown. Like slipping into an old, comforting sweater, Sage takes back her job at Cranberry Rose Company and uses her ability to communicate with plants to discover unusual heritage specimens. What should be a simple task is complicated by her partner in, I have no idea why I just looked away, botany sleuthing, Tennessee Reyes. He broke her heart in high school and she never fully recovered. Working together is reminding her of all their past tender, genuine moments, and new feelings for this mature, sexy man are starting to take root in her heart. With rare plants to find, a dead sister who haunts her, and another sister whose anger fills the sky with lightning, Sage doesn't have time for romance. But being with Ten is like standing in the middle of a field on the cusp of a summer thunderstorm. Supercharged, and inevitable. Look, this is probably just a 3-star read, but I gave it 4 stars because it just hit right for me. I enjoyed it. I could pick it apart if I want to, but why would I want to? Enjoy what you enjoy. Anywho, so like I mentioned, on the rest of the side, I'm currently listening to Ardennes 1944. I took a week-long break after week 1 of college football so I could listen to people talk about how all their preseason predictions did not come true. And so I just got back to this week. Fascinating. I don't retain as much when I listen to a book, but I have the book for reference. That's primarily the reason why I will listen to a book and make sure I have a copy, because sometimes I want to go back, and I do definitely want to go back and look at the pictures in this. Today I read The Order of Battle for the Offensive, and really just good book, and I can reference it later. Finally, as I mentioned, I have been reading, probably for the last month and a half, Berlin Diary by William Shirer. I am doing a whole book haul post later this week, probably tomorrow, on books that I bought because of this. This has been a fascinating read. This is an old copy. It's falling apart. This is actually a first edition, but it's not worth anything because it had writing in it. It belonged to a library. I could see where the pocket that they used to put the checkout slips in has been pulled off. There are still copies of this out there that are newer editions. I highly recommend it if you're interested in World War II at all. Again, this has been fascinating. It picks up, like I said, in 1934. It says it goes to 1941, but I think it's really the December 1940. Obviously, I haven't finished it yet. Yeah, it ends December 13th. So what I found out about this book, so he's a CBS broadcaster, and he's also keeping this diary, and what I found out is that in 1941, or late 1940, he had to leave Germany pretty quickly because the Gestapo was trying to build a case against him, which would have ended up with him being arrested. And so he spent the rest of the war elsewhere. And, bear with me, afterwards, I ordered this too. This is another early edition. After the war, before he wrote his huge tome, The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, I think is what it's called, he wrote and published End of a Berlin Diary. I've heard that this is not as exciting as the original Berlin Diary, and that may be true because this was all written after the war. And I'm not sure, he didn't have the access that he did. Anyway, I'm not sure. I haven't read that one yet, but I will soon. I wish I could find an audiobook copy of that. Anywho, not the point. So this has been a fascinating read. I've got a couple of appointments this week, so I'm hoping I get to finish this up. This is my first book. I do not read it at home. I only read it when I'm out in the wild if I have time. So that's why it's taken so long. Anywho, that is it for me. I'm just saw another flea, so I've still got a lot of work to do. Cat's protected now. He's got some stuff that I put on the back of his neck. It's prescription meds, and anytime a flea bites him, they'll die, but I still have to do a lot of cleaning. Mostly vacuuming. I hate to vacuum. Anyway, not the point. As always, if you've stuck with me this long, thank you for sticking with me on my journey, and happy reading.